In this video, we are going to learn about how to use a record trigger flow that automatically creates a task and assigns to a group with a pre-filled note along with dynamic forms. We will also learn how to use text template in Flow. We will also learn how to read data entered by the user on the page and then pre-filled task comments dynamically when it is created, and how to create a queue with group members and then assign the task to the queue. So to begin with, let us look at the business use case we are trying to solve. So Chief Sales Officer came back with a requirement stating that the account owners or sales team in Unicorn Limited, they would like a way in the system to capture customers having payment invoice detail and alert payment receivables team. So by creating a task. So payment receivables team is the team that will work along with the account owners or sales team to ensure the payments are made by the customers on time. So if there is a delay in payment from the customer and for some reason, it is the payments receivable team, they come for the rescue. So we need to create a task to the payments receivable team, and the task should be triggered by a small checkbox when the sales team says that okay, that has been pending on the payment from the customer, so system has to create a task. And when a task is created, sales team should be given an option to enter notes to the payments receivable team for there's some, the reason why the payment has been pending, and how long it has been pending, all such details. So we wanted a note, to go to the payments receivable team. So again, we're going to do it without writing a single line of code using Flow. So Salesforce admin says yes, it is certainly possible. So this is the expected output. So as you can see, I have a account page, right? There is a separate section for the sales team or the account owners to just alert the payments receivable team. So when this is selected, payment invoice custom field is selected, I would like this field to be, or we would like this field to be mandatory, because this is where the sales team can send certain notes to the payments receivable team. So once this is done, system should automatically create a task something like this with the commands pre-populated with the notes from the sales team. So we're going to touch base the following objects: account, group member, and task. We'll see how we can able to use that in our flow. So this is the design, the flow design. So to start with, we will just see whether the checkbox, a pending payment alert checkbox, has been selected by the user or not. And then if yes, we just wanted to construct the task, subject, and body. This is where we use text template. And once that is done, we wanted to dynamically pick the ID of the queue, because when a task is created, we want to assign the task to the queue, isn't it? We don't want a hard code. Instead, we wanted to, you know, pick the ID dynamically and then use that when we create a task. So let's see how we can do that in action. So talking about dynamic forms, so this is a new way to show details, relevant data to the users, right? So dynamic form will help us to just organize our fields in sections, and also gives us control what needs to be shown, what should be hidden from the user. So when you are in the lightning page in the edit mode, so when you choose the detail section, you get an option to upgrade the page layout to use dynamic forms. When you click upgrade now, Salesforce will guide you through a wizard with multiple steps, right, where I get a chance to choose which would be the default layout that I need to use to convert that page to dynamic form. So when you choose this and then click on finish, the existing page gets automatically rearranged in the form of different sections, which will something look like this. As you can see, this is the output that you get from the dynamic forms. So you can just see all the fields are arranged in different sections, right? And in our use case, I just introduced a new section called customer payment, where I just simply dropped the two custom fields created for this requirement. One is a checkbox, pending invoice alert. The other one is notes to payment team. And the other constraint is, so I want this particular field, to be mandatory only when this checkbox is selected. Otherwise, I don't want this to be mandatory. So using dynamic forms, it is possible. So right now, the two things we can do it. One is we can make this field appear on the screen. This relevant field appear on the screen only when this checkbox is selected. So that is the reason, this field visibility, right, the option is chosen. So I can just choose the field and then I can just the field visibility only when the checkbox is selected, number one. Number two, I want this to be mandatory again only when pending invoice alert is selected. So I'll just say this is required. So once this is done, you can just save and then, you can just go back. And as you can see in the details section. So I do have account information. So this is where it is. So right now the notes to payments team is not visible. But the moment I just enable this checkbox, so this is going to appear, right? And also, this has been made mandatory. So I can just save the record without entering notes to the payments team. So, so the dynamic form portion is completed. We will just focus more on the flow. So as per the requirement, we have to, create a task to the payments receivable team, isn't it? So I'm going to create a couple of users that manage, payments from the customer, Arthur and Charlie, and they are having this profile payments receivable team. Let's first save this. I'll just give a username to Arthur, Arthur at unicorn.com, Charlie at unicorn.com. Done. I think we got the users created. Let's go and then create a queue. So let me go to the queue and let's create a new queue. And I'm going to give a name to my queue. So I'll just say customer payment receivables team. That's going to be the name of my queue. Yeah. And I'm going to add queue members. So Arthur and Charlie. Let me add. Yeah. And most importantly, when you create a queue, we have to assign that queue to an object so that I can use that, right? In Apex, in Apex or Flow, wherever it is needed. So in our case, we're going to associate, or we're going to use this queue along with the task, right? So I'm going to choose object, as task. I can create as many objects as I want. We need to have at least one object associated. So the task is important right here. So I'll just save this and see what happens. Of course, so we have a queue name created, right? Customer payments receivable team. So this is cool. And if I go back to my developer console and then try to query, so we'll try to query group. So this is where, Salesforce will hold this information, right? So we'll just choose a developer name. Here we go. So this is where you have the queue created, right? We will be using this because we need this ID to assign the task, right, to this queue. So we'll just come back to this very shortly, and it's time to create the flow. So I'm going to create a record triggered flow on account object, and I would like this flow to trigger when the record is updated and no entry conditions, and I'm gonna create a task, isn't it? So this would be the appropriate option, which is after save. An account data should be saved first, then a task needs to be created. So the right option to go with this actions and related records. I'll just say done. Yeah. The very first thing is we need to check whether the checkbox is selected or not, isn't it? So for which I'm gonna choose decision element. I'll just say check for payment pending alert, and we'll just say payment pending checked. We'll just use the global variable record. Yeah, this will carry all the fields information, right, that has triggered the flow. So record, so pending invoice alert. If this is equal to true, yeah, if it is equal to true, there are a few more conditions we can add because to handle other scenarios as well. For example, so payment pending, so record prior payment pending is equal to false. And I'll have one more condition on the notes. Record notes, right? Notes the payment team. If it is changed, right? Then again I have to create a task for the payments receivable team. Okay, I'm gonna have a custom condition right here. I just say if either first two conditions, right? If either one is true, okay, or when the note, right, to the payments team is altered. So if this condition is met, right, then I would like to go ahead and then create a task for the payments receivable team. And yeah, if it is changed, right? So I hope this condition is true. Let's just go ahead and then see how it works. Perfect. So let me just update the default outcome label. I'll just say not checked. So pending payment checked and it is not checked, right? So when it is checked, yeah, the very first thing that I want to do is I wanted to get the queue ID because when a task is created, I would like to assign the task to the queue, isn't it? So I'm gonna use get records. Yeah, I'm gonna look for. I'll just say get queue ID. Yeah, I'm gonna look for this group. I'm gonna look for this record in group object. Yeah, and I'll just say the developer name has to be equal to this. Yeah, and again, you don't have to hard code. We just we can create a custom label to hold this value and then use that custom label right in that way, right? We don't even have to hard code this value. So for time being, let me just hard code this, but as a best practice, we have to use what we can use, right, the custom label or custom settings, and then refer that back in the flow. Yeah. So now this will help me to get the ID. So I'll let Salesforce to create a variable for me, which will hold the data, right, that is coming from the database. That's it. So now as you can see on the left, I can see a new record variable created automatically, which I can use it later in my flow, right? So think of variable as a container that holds data for you. Yeah. So so this is cool. Now the next thing is I want to create a task, isn't it? So I'll go here and then I'll create a task. There are two ways in which we can create a task. I can use action and then use new task standard standard action from Salesforce to create a task, right? I can just give the related ID. I can just give subject, all these things. But if I use this, right, one thing that I will miss is pre-populating the task comments, which I don't think I can able to do that. So that is the reason I'm not going to use the default one because there is no way I can enter task comments right here. So I'm not going to use this and take control, complete control to create the task. So I'll just do this. I'm gonna use create records. Yeah, I'll just say create task, and of course I'm gonna create one task, and the record. I'm gonna use values to create. I'm gonna define the values when a task is created. So that's the reason I decided to use. I decided to go with this option, right? Separate resources and literal values. So the object is task. Yeah. So the first thing is the subject. For time being, I'll just hard code, then we can just replace that with text template. I'll just say subject to go here. Now I have access to the comment, the description basically. So comments to go here, and we'll just say related, ID, right? I want to relate the task to the account, for which has been, which triggered this flow basically, right? So, which again, I can use it very simply. I can just relate that with this global variable record. I can access the account ID and then relate this, task, right? And let me just give a status as well. Let's say it is not started. All right. So we got the subject, description, the related ID, status. I think this should be fine. Anything else? Yeah, I think it should be fine. Good, done. Okay. So now this is where now I'm just going to create a text template because I want to construct the task, subject, and body a more meaningful way, so that when a payment receivable team is just taking a look at the task, right, they will immediately know, okay, this is the payment alert came in from so and so person, and this is the customer that we are dealing with. So all such details you will get it in a just by taking a quick look. So to do that, I'm going to create a new resource. I'll use this text template. I'll just name it as where it's a variable text template. I'll just say task subject. So we can just say, and most importantly, just change this to plain text, and we'll just say payment pending alert. We'll just say for. Let me just insert the name of the customer. So how do I find the name of the customer or name of the account? So of course I can use the global variable record, and then from here I can just simply pick the account name. So this is going to be the subject of my task, right? And let's say done. And let's get one more resource. Yeah. So again, text template. But let me do this. I also wanted to store, the notes that entered by the sales team, for the payment team. So I just wanted that to be stored. Let me create a variable for that. You don't have to do it. You can just do it in one simple step. But to give more clarity, I'm just creating an additional variable right here. V underscore it's a variable. V underscore notes from sales team. So that's the variable that I have, and you can choose as this. Done. Okay, I'm going to create one more text template. It's a text template v underscore tt underscore task body. So we'll just say dear team, payment, just copy payment pending alert from we'll just choose the payment pending alert for this account. Please have a look. Then note from sales team on probably we'll just say when this note was made. We'll just use a record, and then we'll just pick up the last modified date and time. Yeah, just say colon, and let's take the notes. Yeah, note from again. I can just I can directly access the note. I don't need that variable as well. So I just choose the record and then get the value from notes to the payment team. Okay, so now this is going to be my task body, right? So let's try to save this, and again ensure that it is not It's not, it's not in the rich text. Otherwise, you will just see HTML tags when the comment is, pre-filled in the task. Okay, make it plain text. I'll just put it right here. No unwanted spaces. Good. So this is my text template for task body. Okay, I think I got this one right. Let's say done. Perfect. So now this will create a task, isn't it? So again, if you want, you can just introduce, the fall path just to, ensure that for best practice, right? Just to ensure that if there is an error, the admins are alerted or it is captured in an error object, whichever way you want it to, you want it to implement. But first, let's just save this. I'll just say this is a record trigger flow after save and um, payment team alert is the name of the flow. Yeah. And I will ensure that yes, this is there. Perfect. Save. Now let's just activate and let's see how this is working. Before we do that, I think we forgot to map, right? So the subject, it has to be the task subject template and the description, which is going to have we'll just map the body, task body. Perfect. So we got the auto ID and status. Let us go and then assign this to the queue, right? So we wanted to assign this task to the queue. So as you can see, there is a record, single record variable, right? Salesforce automatically created that for you. So we'll just get the queue ID from here. That's all it is. Okay, I think this is perfect now. Let's say done. Again, save as. We'll put a new version. Just activate it. Fingers crossed. Let's go back to our account. Let me just reload the page. And yes, I'm just going to select the checkbox and I'll just say payment has been pending for 3 months. Change in leadership might likely be the cause. Please investigate and assist. So this is the message, right, from the sales team or the account owner to the payments receivable team. Let's see what happens when I click on save. Perfect. Looks like a new task has been created. Let's go and then check out this task. As you can see, we got the subject payment pending alert for University of Arizona, which is the customer name, and you can see the comments, pre-populated, right? So yeah, payment pending for exactly the name of the account, and this is the note that came in from the sales team. So now you have the date and time as well for you to further, cross check on this. So so that is how we can implement we can use a flow to create a task number one and also pre-fill with a note with a note by reading data from the page. So that's pretty much. Thank you so much.